Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we have a new Wizard101 patch and I'm going to go over everything with y'all. Now, most of the things in the patch today are things the community's been asking for a year or has known about for a couple of months now. I believe I've already made videos talking about these things individually in depth, so you could go check those out if you'd like. But yeah, without further ado, let's go over the patch notes and everything here. So the first thing that is going to affect the PvE players is the pity system in Celestia is now updated and implemented. So if you go over to GearWise, located here in the base camp, you can actually find that you can craft some of the new gear they added in the prior update. I never checked out this gear when they implemented it before in the update because I didn't really care much for it, but looking through this now, it seems okay, you know? I feel like you're better off just going for zigzag or waterworks gear. But from my understanding here, y'all, the big issue with this gear is not even like the gear itself, it's the barrier to entry to actually get the gear. So I was watching Zepha's video on it, and you basically have to do 45 runs per boss just to craft a piece of gear. Now, that is absolutely insane. Like, especially like level 60, like 50, you know, like I don't understand at max levels, like, okay, these players are really grindy, but this early on in the game, it is not worth your time to go and farm that 45 times, like multiple times for multiple different pieces of gear. You're better off just going to Waterworks or Zigzag and getting a piece of gear or two and buying something from Bazaar and carrying on with your life. That's what I did leveling up. Still the better way to go, and that will respect your time a lot more than the system. Defeats should only been like 10 to 15 because even that is like a little bit tedious for, you know, people at this level. They're not as hardcore as max level players. So TLDR, this is not worth your time to get. I mean, maybe you get lucky and you get the piece of gear dropped. I guess that's great and all, but you're much better off going to like Waterworks or Zigzag, getting a piece or two, and then buying stuff from Bazaar. Alright, the next part of the update is going to be the weaknesses they added. Now, I'm honestly impressed that they implemented these in the patch because, you know, a lot of people like to joke around about KI taking like years to put easy stuff in the game, and I was going to say we're not going to see this at least until like the summer update or like the fall update, but there's actually within the next patch, so you know what? Good on KI for this. Nice job, guys. But anyways, you can get the 1 pip try weaknesses from Niles in Crocotopia, or for the 0 pip ones, you can get them at the fairgrounds here in the commons at Sabrina Green Star. Now, these are not generally worth training in my opinion. They're okay in some PvE boss fights. It's too much deck space to warrant packing school specific weaknesses right now, so the best thing I would advise players to do is if you are a weakness school, so that's Storm, Ice, or Death, I would recommend training the Elemental weakness and the Spirit weakness from Niles. There's a couple of things you could do with these, right? Like Death can go for Avenging Fossil or Vampire, which is like amazing, by the way. Storm, unfortunately, doesn't have any good weakness leveraging tools right now, aside from their Oni, of course. Kind of similar to Ice in a way, right? Ice can use their Jin for damage, weaknesses for damage, right? Or they could use Colossus, which actually is pretty decent. In raids, you also might see these be used over the threefold fevers, which I think is actually kind of cool. And aside from that, I mean, you're just kind of throwing if you pack these, in my opinion. Okay, a couple of bans we have. So all of the hit and shield golems got banned, all the legacy ones at least. So that's going to be spells like my Thermic Golem here, Top Path, RIP. I tier 5'd them a long time ago, just not be able to use them, which kind of sucks, but it's fine. It is what it is, you know. Not a bad thing, you know. They also banned Scales of Destiny, Top Path, because that card was disrupting the meta for literally 365 days. but it's still going to be disrupting the meta because you can simply just swap to the bottom path, which is what Bounces already figured out before the patch even came out. So, and the biggest highlight of the update by far is going to be the fact that the Storm Nulled Dragon got changed. So Storm Elf got banned, as you can see right here, right? I'm on Live Realm. This is banned. RIP the homie, you will be remembered. I'll probably like make a pedestal in my house or something to remember the goat. But they also did replace it with 3 Storm Beetle cards, which honestly is probably the best thing they could have done for the pets. I mean, there's nothing they could have done like logically to actually save the school this update, but this is probably the most they could have done for players, I'll be honest. They kept the Storm Elf on the body for, you know, the PvE players or whatever who might like it and all. And for PvP players, they got rid of the Storm Elf and they put the next best thing, which is Storm Beetle, on it. If you are a Storm this update, I am going to recommend for you not to queue, simply because we all know what's going to happen, and it's quite literally just the definition of insanity, right? So, you know, it doesn't really matter if you use this pet or, you know, like a rain beetle pet. I don't even know where it is. Dark Pact is cool and all on a storm, but that doesn't really solve the problem of every single school shielding every turn against you, so it's not really gonna help you. There's also the Viper and the Jar pet, which gives a storm poison item card. I believe it gives you 1. So you could pack like TC Beetle inside and the Viper, Jar pet, whatever in main deck, but the odds of you pulling that is astronomically low and just not competitive. So yeah, if you are a Storm player this update, I am going to advise you not to queue, at least if you're a max level league. Obviously, I can't speak for 50, 60, or Exalted. I don't play at those leagues really. But for max level Storms, or if you're questing up a Storm, do not play this school. It is the definition of insanity. If you play better, you will not win because the systems in the game are holding you back rather than actually being balanced. And the rest of the patch notes is really just like a whole bunch of nothing. So you guys don't really need to know about that. But if you do want to look at the patch notes, I will put it in the top pin comment below. Also, one last thing. They did not ban poison or frostbite, which is something they addressed last year in the spring update. They addressed, yes, it's a problem, so they banned it from the sideboard, but they forgot to ban it in the main deck. So here we are over a year later, and they still haven't done anything about this. This is unhealthy for the game, because all this does is allow people to boost their rank, and in the mirror matchups, if you don't pack it, you will lose. It's not healthy for anybody. So yeah, I do want to talk about how long it took them to put this update out. So they talked about this stuff for like almost a year ago or more in some cases. It's kind of to the point where they took so long, the update is here, but like we as a community knew what the next patch would look like months ago, but now it's just here, you know? So for example, I haven't queued my Storm in a month because I can't queue him without losing Warlord, right? So I can't queue him, but now that this patch is live, I literally can't queue a Storm because you're only going to lose if you queue a Storm right now. So why would I do that, right? So now we have to wait months for them to fix these problems that we been known were going to happen a long time ago. And I do want to give the devs some credit here because I think the reason they might have took so long, wishful thinking, by the way, I don't know, maybe they are just that slow. I don't really know, but I'm going to be positive right here, right? Maybe they did listen to some of the feedback. They're like, oh, Storm needs Storm Elf. We're going to keep that in for 9 months so people can actually play the Storm School. And if that was a choice they consciously made and again chose not to ignore like they often do, Good on them then, you know? And also I think it's good on them that they got rid of Storm Elf with the Golems, because if you left Fire Golem in the game and got rid of Storm Elf, Fire just would have beat Storm, and Storm would have had 0 winning matchups, right? As for the skills change, obviously it's just a slap on the wrist again for I think the 3rd update in a row on the balance. They really need to start doing more with the balance school. Balance players are just gonna swap to bottom path skills now. They simply only ran path A because of mirror matchups. If you didn't run it, you lost, so that kind of is what it is. The balance school just has way too many broken cards. Like, that is the one school in the game right now where it has more broken spells than actual, like, normal spells or, like, okay spells or bad spells. It's insane. And I say this as someone whose second favorite school has been balanced, but I haven't queued my balance in months because I know how brain dead this school is. And I honestly look forward to the day where they bounce balance so I can actually go back to playing my second favorite school. That'll be nice. But yeah, I mean, that's everything I got for the video today, and that's everything for the patch. I am really just hoping that they do not take, again, a year or 6 months, whatever, to fix simple problems in the game that we know are problematic. And that's all I have to say in the video. Alright, see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, take care, and goodbye.